5. That with Dhyana Yoga, chapter 6 is Dhyana Yoga. That is about on how we can control our mind and senses to achieve peace and happiness. Then I was thinking about the importance to control the mind and to become friend of the mind, or the mind can be also some factor, a fact that can fight against us and our truly desires. I know that for you to come here, maybe struggle a little with your mind, isn't it? That it's cold, that probably maybe I can say I'm not sick. Even for me, oh, maybe nobody's coming. These are the voice of the mind. And sometimes this really confuses us, because when it talks to us, we think it's ourselves or maybe the super soul. But most, it's actually our mind that not always is talking for our benefit. So to study and to understand better this aspect of the mind is important, and we have the Bhagavad-gita who can guide us in this matter. So we are going to start to sing a beautiful song that reminds us Krishna in his pastimes in Vrindavan, and that Srila Prabhupada always used to sing before starting any talk. Okay. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Grivaradhari, Gopi Jana Vallabha Grivaradhari, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nityai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nityai Gora Hari Bol, Nityai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nityai Gora Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. So I will ask you then to be present in this talk, not only your presence as I'm looking right now, but also your mind, soul, Sometimes we do efforts to come here, for example. We did our effort. But then when we are here, our mind starts to fly, on other things. So we try all together to be here, and then ask any question about the subject. That is important, that we are going to talk about something that you can also ask or maybe add something or complain or whatever, okay? Then, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Udaret Atmanatmanam. Natmanam Avasadaye. Atmaiva Hyatmano Bandur. Atmaiva Ripur Atmanam. Udaret Atmanatmanam. Natmanam Avasadaye. Atmaiva Hyatmato Bandur. Atmaiva Ripur Atmana. Udaret, one must deliver. Atmana, by the mind. Atmanam, the conditioned soul. Na, never. Atmanam, the conditioned soul. Avasadayet, put into degradation. Atma, mind. Eva, certainly. He, indeed. Atmana, of the conditioned soul. Bandhu, friend. Atma, mind. Eva, certainly. Ripu, enemy. Atmana, of the conditioned soul. Translation. One must deliver himself with the help of his mind, and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Jai Sri Prabhupada. The world is body, mind, and soul, depending upon different circumstances. In the yoga system, the mind and the conditioned soul are especially important, since the mind is the central point of yoga practice. Atma refers here to the purpose of the yoga system is to control the mind and to withdraw and to draw it away from attachment to sense objects. It is stressed herein that the mind must be so trained that it can deliver the conditioned soul from the mire of nescience. In material existence, one is subject to the influence of the mind and the senses. In fact, in the material world, because the mind is involved with the false ego, which desires to lord it over material nature. Therefore, the mind should be trained so that it will not be the glitter of material nature, and in this way the conditioned soul may be saved. One should not degrade oneself by attraction to sense objects. The more one is attracted by sense objects, the more one becomes entangled in material existence. The best way to disentangle oneself is to always engage the mind in Krishna consciousness. The word he is used for emphasizing this point, that one must do this, it is also it do this. It is also said, mana eva manusyanam, karanam bandamoksayo, bandaya visaya sango, muktya nirvisayang mana. For men, mind is the cause of bondage, and mind is the cause of liberation. Mind absorbed in sense objects is the cause of bondage, and mind detached from the sense objects is the cause of liberation. Amrita Bindu Upanishad 2. Therefore, the mind, which is always engaged in Krishna consciousness, is the cause of supreme liberation. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. So, as explaining, it's very important to control the mind, and we have to find the ways to do it. Actually, it's an internal war that we are always delivering, like we think one day, but then the next day we see that the mind actually won us. So if we understand that we have to get a balance, and in order to do so, we have to find the way to change probably something that we are doing and it's not inspiring us, it's not satisfying us. Then we have to get the way to change some habits, to change something. And probably we become pessimists and we just surrender and said, no, it's impossible, so I will not just live like that. And it is not the best process to conquer our mind. So, and I think that probably a miracle can feel a big change in ourselves one day without striving to do so, to fight against this. So also is some illusion. Then the only way we have is that every time we have to get our mind in control. This is a situation that we have to take into account every time. So what Krishna says, that if we surrender devotional service, this is a way to control the mind, and there is some steps that we can follow. Like for example, there is a technique that we can use to be aware that we have to be skillful, we have to take some tools in order to know how our mind behaves. You know, the mind is very tricky, and then we have just like understand that doing some practices, like for example breathing. In pranayama, we can breathe, and then we can satisfy ourselves in some way. Actually, this chapter is talking about this yoga, dhyana yoga, and it's about to control the mind, as we explained. And then, with this practice and Also, meditation is important. We can start to see some results on us. But it requires also sincerity to understand what is the best, to have a purpose in life. Also, is pacify our mind. Let's see, when we have, for example, a job, something important that we require for our livelihood, or something that we have, we did a commitment or whatever, nothing is going to disturb us just like to fulfill this, this task. So the point is just to find then this purpose. It's easy in the material life because every time we are in contact with this material life and we have many responsibilities. And in order to fulfill those responsibilities, we need to be focused. And we can understand in that moment how we are controlling the mind so that nothing is going to disturb us, even though we are like in one office and maybe people around us are talking or whatever, but we don't mind, and we are just trying to concentrate on what we are doing, yes? But why? Why? Because we have at that moment, you know, that purpose that is completely important for us to fulfill. So we have to try to understand from that example which purpose can keep us always, you know, focused. We can start to feel something. It's not just like we are going to succeed immediately. We have this life that we can do it progressively. And the point is that we should not be disappointed if we don't get the results easily. This is a optimistic vision and also realistic with our capacity, because it's like that. The mind always is going to do his job, yes? So we have to always, as we were talking, we have to be enthusiastic to always look ways, you know, to uplift our mood, and in this way, to step by step feel some growth in our life. There are examples of Vaishnavas who reach that level, and probably some of you remember the story of this Brahmana. Very, very poor. He didn't have nothing to offer. But really he has a heart to serve, to satisfy him. So with such a love, he started to meditate on it. Completely surrender. He meditated every morning, and he was serving him as he had, you know, all the stuff, all the paraphernalia that we can never imagine, pots of gold, food, and everything to offer to the Lord. And this Brahmana then, every day he was doing different preparations, bringing water from all the holy rivers. He was taking the time to do so, and making also the food. Once he was preparing a sweet rice with all the devotion he was preparing, details, and he wanted to see if the sweet rice, it was not too hard to offer to the Lord. He was even looking for this detail. And then, for that, in his meditation, he just touched with the finger the rice, the sweet rice. And he felt that it was very hot, and even he said, wow. And after that, he just wake up from the meditation and hit the finger, and the finger was burned. So means that how was the meditation, how he brought his mind that it was real. And meantime, in the spiritual world, in Vaikuntha, the Lord was laughing, looking at his devotee. Of course, when he left his body, he went to the spiritual world. In that way, how it's important to know about the mind is because at the end, when this short life comes to an end, finish, we have to, with the mind and how we train it, we will get a new body. And this is like natural. If depending on all the life that we went through and the practices we did and the activities we perform, it's easy to understand that it's not gonna change our conscience just at the last minute after doing many things except to progress in our spiritual life, that then we can be transferred to the abode of Krishna or God, yes? So we have to be then concentrated and to train and fix our mind in a high purpose for our well-being. And this life is for that. Again, trying to get this high purpose in our life is going to give us the freedom of disentanglement. And the mind is, in fact, very important to control in a way that also, when it's trained, can help us. And we could realize that it helps us when it, of course, the mind is always going to find a space to perturb our peace, but still is going little by little to find the ways, to find how we can do something better. And I just remember now that before this program, we how much this that we did for the devotees, they did for Santos Maharaj, and how he emphasized in the importance to discharge devotional service, and how the devotees who were coming, they were very gratefully learned about that. That before they didn't, or so very, they remember him in this aspect. So, of course, we can take this example, and the mind, we are busy with useful activities, of course, that wake up our conscience. Then, like a devotional service, then we can just purify our conscience with the help of the mind and the intelligence. There is a verse also in Bhagavad-gita, in chapter 2, verse 17, that it says that there is always a flow of desires that we have to ignore. The desires will always come in our mind. And in this sense, we can achieve peace. But if we strive to satisfy these desires, it doesn't have an end. And we are going to be more and more entangled. So that's why it's very important. Another way to satisfy ourselves, I mean, the senses and the mind, is just to follow the process of vairagya. Means that to do the service without attachment. If we think that we are not able to do any service because I don't know, or I don't feel that I can do it, this is not the way to practice, devotional service. We have to think that anything we do is not for ourselves, it's for Krishna, and not just look at the results. This is not actually in our, we are not going to decide about that. It's Krishna who is going to see if it's good or not. Our intention is what matters. And then for all of us, there is something we can do for Krishna, of course. Then we have to, again, to follow, a process to uplift our conscience and to progress for this high purpose, to reach Krishna. There is a process for that also, that started, what we call in Sambandha, that we start to know Krishna and the relationship with him. This is a step very important. First of all, knowing who we are. Exactly in that way we will see that we have mind, intelligence, body, and our soul that is inside our body. And this knowledge is going to lead us to start to get a relationship with God. And then, after, we can get pure love of Him. So, step by step also, we can get this high achievement, pure love of Krishna in His planet, with a loving relationship with Him eternally. So any question, please, or comments from the devotees, something that you can add, you are most welcome. It's very important subject, so we can learn a lot also from your participation.
When you establish people without partner, there is not friendly to our devotion to our spirituality. Just stop feeding. Don't give him sleep, don't give him food, don't give him attention. So put him down. That's when you're going to control it. So everything that comes from within is spiritual, serving, loving, flourishing. Not your feeling, not your watering, so flower. Everything else, like the bad read, just read it away and leave it without
Thank you. Yes. Good.
desire of success, rightfulness, criticism, and all those vibrations, they are so strong, they get it. And even today, I find very trouble saying, with my mind, a lot of conflict thoughts and everything. But every week, I know only one thing that gives me to go the rest of the week is my concept of God and giving me take the care of that and hear the Lord chanting and see love in the eyes of His ways. Everything is
Yeah.
and it's the only thing, everything with that you see always keeps me safe, keeps me happy, keeps my soul becoming fine, that's fine. But as sincere as they can say, I think it's fine at anyone because that's how I think I think something programs for last year or 2 years. It's just amazing how when you try to focus your life on Krishna, it's something that goes on before it. The rest is my saving.
The realization. Yes, and we can learn a lot from you. This is really inspiring. And we cross, everybody is in the same, problem. Just striving. Yes, please. Sorry?
Mind is birthday to become
Come. To the family.
connected. Yeah, because some people they think and they say even when they know are true because it's in their mind. That is where Vaishnava had offices to other people. It's true, it's not question, it's true when people criticize other people because it's true that not true they do it. His actions take karma on the other person to you. Is that true or
That the action to criticism, you say, that is
if I
God.
criticize you, I give you good qualities and you get bad qualities, my bad qualities.
Actually, I've heard that, but I never read.
Exactly.
I never read in Bhagavad-gita saying this or in Bhagavatam, but I've heard. But what I know is that when we talk about actually the good behavior of people, that everyone has something good, you bring a better atmosphere, positive atmosphere for you mainly, and from anybody who is with you listening. And in the same way, if you start to talk about defects, you may be understand this very clearly and to agree with me that it's not the best environment that you are going to you are going to get at that moment, or the opposite. It's just like even uncomfortable. Immediately, anybody is going to feel in some way distressed, and that is not good, even for your spiritual, way of living, or what you are trying, to progress. Is not good. So better to always see the good side, and maybe try to find out why any person is behaving in some way or other. There must be always some reason. And we start to think, oh, probably that person is getting some confusion, or probably she or him heard or thought that is this way, not that. Like this, trying to explain their behavior, like we can do with our relatives. Sometimes, with the people we know or we love, we are trying always to get some excuse. So the same for everybody. Everybody, we are in the same boat, all of us. This is the point. And always somebody can criticize us, or in a good way or not. So better to be very careful with that. It brings us, of course, more bliss, and this helps in our spiritual life. Definitely.
Thank you. Thank you. Relate what she said. She said she go out and work and she feels here and another people.
Yes.
Just contaminated with one way or another. And how we can contribute because we have to work. We have to be in the work. We know our future what we are trying to do in our mind. We need to focus on what we need to do to survive in our lives every day. How we can
I also worked, of course, many years, and it's a really big tense. Um, but sometimes it's just like many things are this is in our mind. Not everything is real, I will tell you. Why? Because each of the people who are there are, you know, I don't think that are really depending of what you are doing of the other. Probably one, but normally everyone is trying to do their best, and of course to do their best no matter what they can do. But maybe some small moment they can think of you, or try and ignore you or whatever. Even in those cases, like being in an office environment, I would say that uh, many problems, troubles we have, it's in our mind, and we can analyze. We can analyze with a cold mind, and you maybe can see a change, and yet you can feel better even in an office, because in your conscience you also have to think why you are doing this. Finally, it's just to give it also to please the Lord, because you try also to think that the results of your job is for Krishna. You are going to help the devotees, that then you are going to help your family in their Krishna consciousness. So you have to put an objective, something high for you to be still working. And then in that way, we are doing karma yoga. Our results, we are going to be Krishna. And that, going to, your job is going to become more blissful, better. And of course, it's nothing to do with the environment of the temple. But it's going to be better because even you can easily know better your colleagues. And there are, also temples of Krishna. And you can help him in some way. One fact that it's true is just to bring sometimes prasada and invite them. And everybody likes. Nobody is going to reject a cookie or sweet in the break of lunch or whatever. And this really, change the environment. Yes.
So, like, your question, I was considered, I was listening. So, the speaker said, Krishna in there. So Krishna has so many forms. So for example, if somebody is really naughty and kind of teasing you, so that means that's the Krishna's childhood form. If someone is angry at you or extroverted at you, so that's Parshuram's form. If someone is really calm and they have loaded their ego, so that means that's the Rama role. So there are different forms of Krishna which we should try to see in other people and kind of have a conversation with them. Oh, you're trying to please me, like that. So that helps them, like kind of making the meaning of the situation.
Thank you. That's right. We see people. Yes, please.
Controlling your mind, right? The mind is a very difficult thing to control. You need to take but the idea is how we investigate funny people positions about it. We're talking about come to mind, you just find you simply cry, and that comes to mind is amazing. The mind is also trouble, wrong places, child, right? You can't stop. But when you try to stop it by practice, right? Different methods, mechanisms, methods. What happens is that those methods that are in life, no matter which people, they have different methods. I think that you're trying to stop the mind by thinking also, but your mind is always thinking. We are acting from the past. Remember, we are everything that we are accumulated in the archives in the brain. We act from there, think. We will have a memory, we will be able to manage it. So memory is based on thinking. So now we try to stop the thinking. It's challenging the mind by another thing. Because it's a case of methods. Another thing we're trying to stop another thinking. And what happens there is a war between the two. The thinker and the thought, right? Now, how to explain myself? I think there's so much connection between the science and meditation. It's something that's going on nowadays in the universe, talking about mindfulness and different methods. I don't see any contradiction. The other thing we're talking about is that the silent meditation is not medical. Something that is in my mind. Now, for us, if you practice not looking, not forcing the mind, right? I have experience with this. I'm talking about what I have experienced. Your mind is your first one because I'm educated. Now, the idea is that you're going to remain like that forever now. After that, you can engage the mind when you hear it. So I see. Forceful desire of God is important. I don't see what wrong with people doing it. Most people they are all completely spiritual. Know that when you practice silent meditation, it's not Christian. And Christian says if you practice mantra, the meditation coming up here, it is not medical. It's contradiction. It's a problem. We know that people
Yes. It's only, there is no contradiction, but just like different levels of understanding, the same thing. And when I mentioned about this war that we are, you know, fighting every time, it's just like we have an inner voice, and we know that Paramatma is in our heart, but sometimes it's also showing us the path, the way to behave, the way to do the things. But in that moment, we have to think that maybe it's the mind in some circumstance that is talking to us, or is the Paramatma. Then we have the intelligence. Yes? With intelligence, we learn from the scriptures, Yes? And with the intelligence, we can just discriminate the thoughts that come to us. This is a very important aspect because in that way we can realize, these thoughts are helping me for the purpose I put in my life, this high purpose. These thoughts are good, or those others. So in that moment we can see if it's the mind or if it's Paramatma. As you say, the mind is not going to stop. And it's not a point to ignore the mind or think that one day we can kill the mind, because it's not like that. The mind is with us and it's going to be ever. But we can just purify our mind. This is another thing. To get a spiritual mind. In that moment we can think that we live that.
How you can recognize the intelligence in kind of
Yes, it's only when you learn about the devotional service and how we can discharge this devotional service, how the Guru, the spiritual master, is teaching us, how to do it properly. So immediately with our intelligence, we can analyze which type of thought is this or not. It's not difficult. Another thing is that sometimes comes the likes and dislikes. I like more this thought, or I don't like more. Because always comes like what we want to enjoy. And all is a matter of enjoyment, actually. And then, to get enjoyment in this material world is something we can get very soon and easy, but through the devotional service also you can get an endless happiness. So you can easily discriminate. You can do it. If you are sincere, you will realize. Okay, thank you very much for your help, for your attention, and then hope that next week we can still learn more, and we have Prashad. Prashad ki jai.
We're getting better.
We practice.